Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to the Wellness for Entrepreneurs series. And if this is your first time being introduced to the series, hello, greetings, and welcome to the family. My name is Niall. I'm the founder and CEO of EcoWellco, which of course this wonderful series is housed. And something that I actually kind of don't do in every single one of my videos here for the Wellness for Entrepreneurs series is just give a brief overview of what the series is. So if this is your first time, you could go back and watch the first introductory one, but I'll take a moment just to explain what it is before I dive into today's topic. So Wellness for Entrepreneurs is really straightforward. It is wellness tips, practices, techniques that are really geared towards folks who are entrepreneurs. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, or you could be considering that you want to be an entrepreneur, or you could be a long-standing entrepreneur and you're just trying to find a way to help maybe balance your life a bit more, maybe inject a little bit more creativity into your life, maybe gain a little bit more clarity, maybe find time to actually rest, maybe structure your life a little bit differently, maybe find different practices and techniques that could help to deal with any stress, any anxiety, any burnout, or even to help kind of get you boosted for that next big, project you're working on, or if you have to present it to investors or angel investors, whatever it may be. Whatever it is, this entire series is actually geared towards really helping you to feel really grounded, really firm in who you are as a creator and as a person, seeing how that the business that you have and that you're running is 100% a part of you. So something that I always say is that yes, life is personal and business is business, but a lot of the times business does get really personal, and the business can oftentimes, a lot of times what we see can be influenced by personal happenings. So what do we do when we realize that our mental state, our physical body, our health, our wellness is actually impacting the productivity or the flow or the functioning of our business? Because again, our business is like an arm of us. So as entrepreneurs, or folks who are just trying to figure out how to navigate in this world, it's up to us to really commit to figuring out how to find more harmony within our bodies, so that we can also find more harmony in our business and the world around us, mind and body, I will say. Okay, so that's a quick overview of why I created this series. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and for me, it has actually been a lifelong journey of finding a balance within myself as well, within my mind, within my body. And so I really wanted to just take a moment to start sharing a lot of my journey and the practices that I have with y'all. And of course, if you join me on my Patreon, where most of these teachers are housed, you will also have access to downloadable worksheets. You will also have access to downloadable booklets. And of course, if you would like to have these things crafted into a book in and of itself, you could also pay a separate fee for that. You will also have access to additional guided meditations, live talks, also discounts on merch that's coming here for EcoWellco. So there's lots and lots of more benefits on the Patreon site to become a community member there. And of course, you'll just have all types of access to me outside of me just talking to you through a pre-recorded video that I put on YouTube. Okay. So that's Patreon. You can find the link in the description below if you would like to go ahead and join. I'm doing a bit of a series right now where I'm allowing myself to post a little bit more of what you can find more on the Patreon, a deeper dive, but just here on YouTube so that you can have access to it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the topic for the day. So today's topic is really funny because I've been really thinking about it a lot. The concept of being performative or not being performative, and being aware when we're being performative, has been on my mind lately. And I want to discuss what I mean by being performative, because there's going to be obviously some instances, especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's going to be some instances where performing as a certain character or showing up in a certain way for a specific client is going to be something that might be best, it might be ideal, right? Or if you're trying to like embody a certain character, or what is it everyone always talks about sometimes, is having like an alter ego that you may show up as in order to achieve a certain thing or embody a certain energy, or like, for example, if you usually feel like that you're not as charismatic as you could be, you could identify, what person, what animal, whatever is super charismatic, and what other properties or traits do they have, and how could you try to channel that for your big TikTok or your big presentation that you have to get for investors in this multi-million-dollar project that you're hoping to get funded like that day. So there's many different ways in which being performative or trying to embody something in order to achieve something can be really beneficial, especially in business or even in everyday life. But there's also another version of being performative that I'm actually really talking about here, and that's the one that the examples that I've been using is like when dating, for example, and you find that people have been being a certain type of person the whole time you've been dating, and then now everyone's ready to make it official, you're ready to take it to the next level, and then they become somebody else. Or maybe you do this, maybe you become somebody else. And it's like, well, wait a minute, where was the person all these months or all this time? Like, how come you didn't show up as the complete version of yourself? This is kind of what I'm talking about here in terms of being performative. This is a version of you that you're 100% not showing up as yourself. Now, if you think about it, if you're trying to do the concept of, embodying a certain alter ego in order to achieve something, in a way, as much as you could say, well, this isn't really the true me, yes and no. Even the concept of fake it till you make it, that is not you, but it is you, because you already have the ability to be it and do it. So being performative in the aspects of relationships and dynamics, or doing things, or really what I'm trying to say is doing things not because they are truly resonating to what you are or who you are, what you're trying to achieve, or where your business is going, that can become exhausting. And eventually you're going to get tired of wearing that mask. You're going to get tired of putting on that suit every day. You're going to get tired of being somebody else other than who you are as a person, other than who you are divinely are, and who you may be crafting into each and every day. So being performative in this aspect is what I'm talking about when you're deciding to constantly be somebody else other than who you are. So you're showing up to your business, you're showing up for your community, you're showing up for your audience as somebody completely different. You're putting on this big old, like, I'm the happiest person in the world, when in truth you're not. And you're actually struggling, but you won't share that. That's an example. That's an example that I get because sometimes I think about all the different times we have all these different influencers throughout time. And I'm sure a lot of folks are like, this is genuinely them, boom, beautiful. And other folks, it's like, it's hiding something. Something's being hidden, something, oh wow, outside. Something's being hidden, something isn't really being shown for what it truly is. And I think when it comes to running a business, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, when it comes to being a person, there's so much value, there's so much fruit in being authentic. Yes, as I said before, perhaps there may be time for you to show up, slightly differently, but do you know why you're doing it? What's the intention behind it? And are you comfortable in who you are as a person, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a creative? And being able to move forward in a path that feels most aligning to you? Or are you constantly putting on this big old flesh suit of somebody else that isn't you? Do you feel aligned in who you are and what you're doing? Does it make sense for you? Does it feel right? Does it feel good? Does it feel like you? And if you're in the midst of a transformation, in the midst of an evolution, then what feels right at this moment? What helps to continue to feel aligned on this path of evolution and expansion? Expansion doesn't have to be every time or every day or all the time, but what is your true essence? And how do you show up as your true essence? Or are you always performing as something else or someone else? A practice that I try to keep in mind if I ever feel like I myself may be being a bit performative in a moment, or not showing up as myself, not showing up as my true self, not allowing myself to honor my true feelings or my true ideals or my true opinions or what actually feels truly right for me or the true things that I actually want to do. And note, things can always change. As I mentioned, you can go through a transformation period, a growth period, or you could just say, we could wake up one day and be like, I changed my mind. Throw my hands up. I'm done, right? And then you can wake up the next morning and be like, never mind, I'm back. So being gentle with the self as you're navigating this aspect of, is this really me? Is this not really me? That's really important to do. But essentially, it's also really vital to ask yourself, how can I use awareness to know when I am not being true to myself, whether or not it's in my everyday dealings, in my business, or even with myself? How can I know, or how can I start to practice being aware of when I'm not allowing myself to honor myself in every aspect of my life and everything that I do. So these are two really big questions that I ask myself sometimes whenever I feel a little bit uneasy, or when I feel like perhaps I'm not showing up as my complete self, even when it comes to being or showing up for myself. And this is where I get to ask myself, am I being performative? Am I trying to show up as a certain character for somebody else? Or because they said in order for me to achieve this, I have to do it like this, or I have to be this way, or I have to talk this way, I have to dress this way, I have to da-da-da-da. All the external influence and information telling me that in order to achieve X, I have to do Y. But is that always the case? In some situations, perhaps. As I mentioned before, there may be some reasons why putting on a character for a moment might be good. But in other essences, if you're putting on a character every single day, and it doesn't even remotely resonate with you, and you don't even remotely want to be that character, that fake it till you make it, then what really is going on, and what really are you doing, and who really are you trying to be? And this is where that self-awareness, that self-reflection can be super, 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 super helpful. Even that self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is pretty much asking yourself questions to then receive the answers from yourself. So you could say, who do I really want to be? Or how do I really want to show up? Will I always get the answer immediately right now? Maybe not. I might get the answer 2 days later sitting on the toilet. But it's still an answer to a question that I posed to myself that then the answer is derived from within myself. So that's the point of self-inquiry. You could also even possibly find the answers in your day-to-day. Maybe you're at the grocery store picking something out, and then something just like triggers you and dawns on you, like, oh, wow, I want to be a slab of chicken. I don't know. I'm being ridiculous. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you never know how answers may come to you after you've posed the question. But besides the point, in this practice of understanding the self and understanding who you want to be and understanding how you want to show up for yourself, for your business, for your family, for the world, or whatever it may be, first is asking yourself those two primary questions that I asked about a minute ago. Am I being performative? Who do I really want to show up as? Am I allowing myself to honor myself? And then also exploring the aspects when the actual physical times. So allowing yourself to detach and become that watcher. So in the last video I created about anger and impulsivity, I actually talked a lot about allowing yourself to become the watcher, the observer, the person who's able to experience everything that the outward ego self is doing in the world, and being able to say, hey, I'm watching you do all these things. I'm watching how situations affect you. I'm watching how they impact you. I'm watching how they impact your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your decisions, your ideals, whatever. So you can allow yourself to become the watcher in these situations where perhaps you realize that you are beginning to perform. You're doing things that don't feel natural, that don't come naturally to you. Now, in some instances, I'm not saying to not learn new skills or try new things. Of course, sometimes when you do that, they may not feel like they're coming naturally to you because you have to learn them. So again, this is not an excuse to not try new things or put yourself out there more. It's not an excuse to not evolve. But this is really an important question to figure out if you are remaining true to yourself. That I'm pointing to my heart. If you're remaining true to your heart, if you're allowing yourself to remain true to your divine path of least resistance. And as a business owner, as a creative, if you find yourself constantly pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and using so much energy and force and resistance to go a certain direction or to be a certain type of person, and that resistance can feel like anxiety, it can feel like depression, it can feel like literal actual force, heaviness on the shoulders, on the body, it can feel like tension, it can feel like stress, it can feel like, is this even me? It can feel like doubt, it could feel like constant nervousness. It could feel literally like anything that doesn't naturally feel like a nice flow. Because you can have a business that really takes you out of your comfort zone, but still is super in line with you and your natural flow of power, your natural flow of just existence and creation and production and being who you are. So the question of, am I being performative? Am I being performative in this relationship? Am I being performative in my business? Am I being solely just super performative with my community that I'm supporting, with the services that I offer? Am I being myself? And if I don't know who I am, then who am I? So this entire topic is really about asking yourself these questions and being the watcher, observing when you're doing it. That takes awareness. That takes you saying, whoa, I think I just did or said something that actually doesn't really even align with who I am, because I've taken the time to kind of ask myself these questions, and I have some ideas, even if I'm not super certain or clear. I have some ideas, and that didn't really align with me. That is a part of the process of understanding who you are, what you want, how you want to show up in this world, if it aligns with you, and not just somebody told me to do this, but if it aligns with you outside of the external chatter, and allowing yourself to make the proper decisions on that align with you, on when to be performative, when it's aligning, when it's necessary, and when you being performative is actually stripping you of you, who you are, of your natural essence, when it's no longer honoring you or pushing you in a direction that is ideal for you or your business combined together. Starting with awareness, questions, self-reflection, observation, and then there comes action. So when you begin to observe these things and you're allowing yourself, perhaps you're observing for a while, you're asking these questions, you're getting answers, you're having realizations, you're doing self-reflection. This is beautiful. You're beginning to observe when you're doing it. You're beginning to observe when it feels not right, or beginning to observe when it doesn't feel like who you are. Now it's up to you to decide what to do with that. Who do you really want to be? How do you want to show up? Do you actually really want to be your alter ego? Be that in totality. Do you actually want to be a little bit more courageous? Be that in totality. Embody it. Do you enjoy being reserved? Be that in totality. Embody it. Be who you are. Show up for your business who you are. Show up authentically for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your business, for the people that you're serving with your business. This is the importance of being you. Because the idea that you had to even create what you created came from you. Even if it was inspired by elsewhere, it still came from you. You did the groundwork. It was all you. So get in touch with you here. Stop trying to be performative all the time and give yourself a moment to be aware, to reflect, to ask yourself some important questions, to allow the answers to come, to observe, to be the watcher. That will take some practice, but keep trying and be gentle with yourself along the way, and to take the necessary actions, to make the decisions, to set the intentions, and to commit to those decisions, to those intentions, to commit to yourself. This is a journey of releasing the performative self, the self that truly is not in line. Releasing the performative act that is not you. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, if you would like to dive deeper into this community, be sure to check us out on Patreon there. There's lots more videos there, guided meditations, or other special perks that you won't be able to get access just here on YouTube. You can find the link below in the description. And I hope that you found this video, this episode of the Wellness for Entrepreneurs series helpful. If this was the first time you've interacted and you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. If the first time you interacted and you want something more, want something different, and you have more questions, also interact, let me know in the comments. And again, we have our tier starting Patreon as low as $5, and then it goes up from there. So thanks so much for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Like, share, and comment, and much love, and many blessings. Bye, everybody.